We are back with another Trails and Tales Plus update. This one adds quite a lot, so we're going to jump straight into it. But before we jump into it, if you find any bugs with this update or have any suggestions, leave them either within the comments of this video, on the CurseForge page, or within my Discord. The Discord is linked in the description. So the first set of features comes in the Nether. Now this is a new structure that spawns within the Nether. It commonly spawns in the middle of lava lakes, but sometimes you can find them surrounded by land. And I've dug this one out so we can actually get in. Now this is a bit of a weird structure because it is kind of random in the way it generates. Two of the rooms will always be random. We've actually got extremely lucky right now and got two of the same room, as you can see. But this room will always be a arena, which it always looks like this. And this room right here will have a chance to be good or bad. We've actually got the good one, which as you can see has some decent loot inside. Now these rooms right here, they actually have a new block inside of them, and this is the chamber chest. The chamber chest, as you can see, requires a key, and you can't actually open them without the key. The key can be gotten from this room right here, but there are 3 spawners in the center. 2 of the spawners will spawn blazes. The middle one will spawn a new mob, which if we quickly just wait a second, while we're waiting for that to spawn, we will quickly just check out this chest. And yes, as you can see, we actually have some keys. And this is the new mob. The new mob is the Inferno. The Inferno obviously lost the 2017 mob vote. Well, it is now back. And this actual mob spawns only within this structure from the spawner. There can be up to 2 at a time from the spawner. And basically how this mob works is, it works just like the blaze, but it can block damage. If I heal it, there is a chance, as you can see, it will actually block the damage, which means that it won't deal any damage to the actual mob. And when this mob actually gets eliminated, let's quickly just kill it. And this one did drop it. It drops a infused Inferno gem, which we'll cover a little bit more about that in a second. So we've actually looted that chest. Does this chest? This chest has 1 key. So we now have the chamber key. Let's now use the chamber key on the chest. And as you can see, it has opened it. In survival mode, this key will be consumed. As you can only have 1 key per chest, as you can see. And these chests basically just contain really good loot. If I quickly just show you these other 2 that we opened as well. As you can see, the loot is pretty decent. Now I quickly just wanted to head to a different one of these structures. As you can see, once again, we do have this room right here with some keys. Then, as you can see, the 2 rooms are different this time. This time we have a room with 2 striders inside of it. And we also do have this room again. I'm going to just quickly locate one more structure, just so we get a look at a third one, just to show you how different they are. And this is how they commonly spawn, as you can see, with like in the middle of lava with some red stained glass. But if we head inside of this one, we actually have a strider room and a brewing room. Once again, the arena. And this time we got the bad luck, which the bad luck looks like this. And inside of the chest, it has some sticks, some coal, and some fire charges. But yeah, as you can see, we haven't actually got the reward room this time around. We got the strider room with the brewing room. And this brewing room does have a chest with a load of resources in. But this brewing room will actually help us out with the next feature. The next feature is the Inferno infused gem. We can quickly just grab some of the blaze powder out of this chest. And as you can see, this will now actually brew a new type of potion. So now this is just about done, you actually get the infused potion. Which this infused potion can then be taken out and you get an advancement for obtaining it. But this is a different type of a potion. As you can see, it actually has no effects. If you grab yourself an anvil and then also some potions within the game. So we're going to grab a night vision, a invisibility, a leaping, also fire resistance, and also a swiftness. And then what we're going to do is throw the infused potion in the first slot and the potion we want in the second slot. And as you can see, it is now an infused potion with fire resistance. We can then put that in the first slot again with swiftness. And it's now an infused potion with fire resistance and speed. And you can basically do this as many times as you want. Basically stacking up potions on one singular item. I found this while exploring, looking for the mob. A lava lake shaped in a heart. That is actually really cool. But the mob we are actually looking for is just over here. And this is it. The Ostrich. As you can hear, the ostrich does have custom sounds. The ostriches will spawn within any savanna biome, savanna plateaus, savannas, and the other one. Now these ostriches can be bred with apples, so if I quickly just grab 2 apples and breed them, their breeding is a bit different to most mobs. because as you can see, once they have bred, they will then dig into the ground. The particles will move with the actual head, and you will soon see, once it's actually decided where it wants to place them, I found a bug. It doesn't actually remove the animation. Okay, that will be fixed. It'll place down a new block, which the new block is basically the egg block for the ostrich. This block, as you can see if we look at it, it actually has 4 eggs inside of it, and it's called the dirty grass block. Over time, this will hatch into some baby ostriches. The amount of ostriches it will hatch into depends on how many eggs are inside. This one has 4, so it will hatch with 4. It will also have a chance to give you a termite item when it actually places the egg in the ground. Now, this is a very weird bug. I thought I patched this, but obviously I haven't, so we'll come back to that. But the ostriches do have a few other uses. The termites are the main use because termites are actually really useful. We'll cover what they do in a second. The ostrich is the first mob inside of Minecraft Java Edition that you can ride without the need for a saddle. As you can see, the saddle slot is empty, but I can actually control it on where it actually goes. And although it's not actually too fast, the next thing that you can do with the ostrich, you can ride it within water as well, and it will basically walk across the water pretty well, although it is a lot slower than boats and things like that. So as you can see, we have a stripped tree right here. The termite item, if you click it on the block, as you can see, it returns the actual bark onto the block. So it is useful if you accidentally are walking around and you strip a block. You can then return it on. If you're in survival mode, it does consume the termite, so you can't use it multiple times on the same block. But there are actually other uses to it. If I actually have some oak logs right here, these are not the strip version, they are the actual log. You can actually click the termite on them to get hollow versions. And as you can see, it basically hollows out the middle of the actual wood. And if I now head inside, as you can see, it is a block that you can actually fit inside of. Now, they do have another use. If you grab yourself some moss blocks, you can actually put moss on them. And as you can see, the moss will overlay. If you have it in this direction, as you can see, the moss will overlay in that direction. So they can be used to make some kind of mossy logs. But if you actually have them facing upwards, so let's quickly just do that, the moss will place kind of like so. So it's kind of cool because you can kind of blend them in with oak to kind of make this mossy overlay sort of part. Now, the termite has 2 more uses. The next use, you actually need 4 of any logs, and you need yourself 4 termites for this. And then you also need a redstone block. So now what you need to do is put the redstone in with the 4 logs and the 4 termites. The termites are right there, so let's actually do it that way around. And as you can see, you get an infested log. Now, this infested log does one thing, and that is when it is placed down, as you can see, it has this hole that is in the actual texture. As you can see, the hole depends on what way you are looking. So wherever this black hole is looking, whatever block it is looking into, if it's looking into a wooden block and it is powered by redstone, it will actually strip the block. As you can see, it will strip any block that is placed in front of it. So it's kind of used to automatically strip blocks if you want to have a farm that produces stripped logs rather than normal logs. You can now do that automatically. All you need to do is connect up one of these to your farm and make sure it is powered. It doesn't need a different redstone power every time. And the final use for the actual termite comes in with the desert biome, because it is another new mob. And this new mob is the Mircat. As you can see, Mircats will spawn around deserts. They are basically just like foxes, where you actually have them trust you. If I go in survival mode, as you can see, they will run away from me because they don't actually like players. Now, you can breed them up to get a baby, which if I quickly just do that, let's find 2 that are quite close to each other. But let's quickly just breed these 2 up. As you can see, they will actually breed and they'll produce a baby. That baby won't run away from you. As you can see, it's staying near me. It's only running because it's trying to be with its parent. Now, the next thing about these is if you actually have them fight a mob, they will actually fight mobs if you are damaged. So if I spawn this in and I get hit by this husk, as you can see, the baby should then come to fight the husk. Yep, as you can see, it is doing just that. Now, when it actually fights the husk, it will have a chance to drop a new item if it doesn't die. And yep, there we go. It actually dropped the item this time. It will drop some sand balls or balls of sand. when it actually fights mobs. Now, once again, it's not a 100% chance, it's about a 40. And the reason for this, I want to encourage a new farm where you use meerkats to kill certain mobs. It doesn't have to be husks, it can be any mob within the game. But you can actually use balls of sand to craft sand blocks, so it is a way to basically farm sand. Moving away from meerkats, as we have now covered them, the next feature, as you can see, we are summoning the copper golem. The copper golem is a new mob which is summoned with 1 copper block, 1 pumpkin or carved pumpkin, and then a lightning rod on top. The copper golem will actually pathfind 2 copper buttons. They will obviously oxidize and can be waxed and stripped just like every copper block, but if I place a few of these down, they will actually go up to the buttons and press them. Copper buttons also have a delay in which they are powered. As you can see, they are powered for a short time. That time is longer depending on how oxidized they are. But as you can see, it's going to walk up to the button and it should press it. They will also oxidize over time. Once they get to the final stage, they will actually freeze and won't be able to move. You can also wax them and strip them to make them stop oxidizing or to lower their oxidization. But yeah, as you can see, he just walked past that button and he pressed it. But quickly just covering the copper buttons, as you can see, if I actually power them, they will stay powered for a time. The actual lower oxidization, the less time they'll stay powered for. As you can see, this one right here is staying powered for a lot longer than this one would. But there is a version of the actual copper golems that you can get. If you get yourself a block of Celestine alloy, you can actually click that on a copper golem to make it a Celestine golem. They will press Celestine buttons, and Celestine buttons basically have 1 tick. As you can see, I press it and it instantly unactivates. If I quickly just grab some redstone to show that off in a redstone pulse, as you can see, it's literally active for a split second, the shortest they can actually be active for. And Celestine golems will press these buttons, copper golems will press the copper buttons. They won't press each other's buttons. The next mob we are going to cover comes in the flower forest. And this is the Moo Bloom. The Moo Bloom can be found only within this biome. You can shear them just like you can with mushrooms to make them into normal cows. But the special use they actually have right here is you can give them dandelions. If you actually right click a dandelion on the Moo Bloom, it will give you a random flower type. And you also get an advancement. As you can see, that time we got an azure. If I quickly just click a few times, we actually got a tulip there. And as you can see, every time you actually click one on, you'll get just a random flower. Now, it does actually consume the dandelions. That wasn't a good example because the bee actually ate it. But yeah, as you can see, it does actually consume the dandelions if you are in survival mode, but you will get another flower in return. We are moving away from mobs for a second to show off a new feature within the birch forests. Birch forests have had a complete update. They now have some light blue petals spawning around and also some purple petals spawning around. You can also find some mushrooms on the walls of the actual trees. These mushrooms are called wall mushrooms and they can be crafted with 2 brown mushroom blocks in the crafting table. You can place them on walls and as you can see, it can be placed up to between 1 and 4 on every block. Now, although they spawn on birch trees, they can be based on any solid block. It doesn't have to be wood. And in the next update to birch forests, so they've got new flowers that spawn around here. They've got wall mushrooms. They do also have fallen birch trees, which are the hollow birch logs. And as you can see, they do also have a chance to spawn with moss on top of them. So it is a new way to get moss blocks as well. And these will basically just spawn throughout the biome. And I do really just want to show, hollow logs come in every single type, even the stripped versions as well. So you can get stripped hollow logs also. Before we jump to some more new features, this structure will now spawn replacing the ice pillars. And this is the Isers Tower. To kind of match up with pillagers, it will spawn randomly around. As you can see, the Isers is inside of there. And it basically spawns like pillagers where they'll carry on spawning around the structure. Basically, even if you remove the structure, they will still spawn. Now, if we actually head inside, you can see that they have some powdered snow. They do also have a tough golem. Tough golems have also had an update, as you can see. They have been completely revamped to have a new texture. Now this structure does have some loot inside. There are some barrels with some ice and some snow and some food. If we head up a little bit more, you can find some leather armor with some campfires with some chicken, and also some furnaces with some coal inside. And then if we head to the very top floor, there is once again 2 more chests with some food and ice. So it's basically just a place to get a load of ice, and then also the isologers. The next new feature comes in with smelting candles. You can now actually throw candles in a furnace, and you actually get a new item called wax. Wax is an item that can be used for one thing at the moment, but a current use for it, if you put it in a crafting table, you can actually make yourself a block of wax. Now this can also be dyed. So if we quickly just show you wax, as you can see it comes in every single colour that normal candles come in. But this is actually different to most blocks in the game, because if this block is placed within 4 blocks of fire, it will actually slowly melt. As you can see, it's now playing some particles, basically meaning that it's within fire and it can melt. But you'll see over time, it should melt if the fire stays within it for long enough. So it can kind of be used as a way to have a random timer. If you want a timer that is kind of random, you can basically have an observer reading out of it, and every time it actually goes down a layer, it has 8 layers in total. As you can see, they have actually started to melt. These 2 have gone down by 1 layer. There we go, that one did just go down by another layer as soon as I actually lit that fire. So they're just kind of random timers, and you can actually pick them up, but when you break them, they will just drop some wax again. They won't actually drop the wax block unless they are full. They will only drop the solid block again if they have not melted a single time. We are now within the mangrove swamp for the next 2 features within this update. One of them is a revamp to crabs. Crabs have had an updated model and texture. They are now breedable with kelp, and when you breed them, the baby will drop a claw when it grows up into an adult, just to make getting the claws a little bit easier. But they can actually have 2 more things done to them. You can pick them up in a bucket now, and as you can see, you get a bucket of crab, and this bucket of crab can be placed down anywhere to basically have easy transport of them. But also, if the crabs are feeling hungry, they will actually venture down into the water, and they will walk on the ocean floor, kind of like how real crabs do in real life. As you can see, they can actually walk around down here, and they will basically move around hunting certain fish. And then the next feature we're going to showcase is right here, the muddy pig. Muddy pig spawns within mangrove swamps. There is no difference between this one and a normal pig apart from texture. There is one difference though. It will set mud underneath its actual feet, so it is a way to farm mud. As you can see, if this one does actually start walking around, it will set blocks to mud that it walks on. Kind of like how snow golems set snow under their feet, these will set mud under their feet. This is the prickly cactus, and as you can see, when you place it down, it does have rotation, so it will randomly rotate from facing the player to facing away from the player. And it will also grow a new actual food type, which as you can see is prickly pears. These can be eaten and they're not much better than the glowberries, but they are a little bit better. Now covering new food source, there is one more within the game, and that's crystallized honey. It's crafted like so, a honey bottle and then 4 honeycomb, and that gets you 3. And basically, this is the best food source in the game. If you actually eat one, it will fully replenish your actual saturation and your hunger. One of the final things within this update is cocoons. These are a new block that will spawn within lush caves. If you break them with silk touch, they will drop the block itself. But if you break them with anything but silk touch, they will pop out a glare. The glare will basically just hunt around looking for dark areas. If it finds a dark area, it will then basically just stand there and shiver, as you can see like so. It's giving off angry particles. As soon as I light it up, it will go happy again. The second to last feature within this update is the lurker. The lurker is a new mob that spawns within the ocean. And this is a very dangerous mob, because if you are swimming, it will actually come up to the top, eat you and pull you down to the ocean floor, and there is no way to get out of it apart from actually killing the mob. It will also close its mouth when it actually has a player attached to it, and it will slowly deal damage, but the damage it does is very low. The main damage it does is basically from drowning the player. It will basically just pull you down and hope that you don't kill it in time and you basically die from drowning. And when you actually kill the mob, it will drop, if we quickly just get rid of it, it will drop a Heart of the Sea to make these a little bit easier to obtain as well. There are 2 more features within this update, but we're going to have to quickly go through them because this video is already a lot longer than I would have liked. So the first one, the Starve. The Starve has had a complete update to texture, model, and also how it works. So how the Starve now works is if you actually have a enchanted item within your inventory or on your player, the Starve will now actually bite you, removing the item from your inventory. And to get the actual item back, you have to either kill the Starve, so let's quickly just do that. So now we will actually kill it. It will only be able to remove 1 item at a time, so if you have multiple enchanted items, it wouldn't be able to take them all. It can only hold 1 item in its mouth at a time. As you can see, our chest piece is now back, but it has removed 1 level of an enchantment from it. So that is what the Starve now does. It's a lot less annoying, because before it would be able to spam hit you, remove an enchantment every time. Now, it will only be able to do it to 1 item at a time, and I just think that is a lot better. You can also get the item back from it by giving it a enchantment bottle by just clicking it on it. And then the final thing within this update is the Rascal. The Rascal is just how it was shown off in Minecraft Live. You click it, it will then disappear, and you have to find it 3 times. It will reappear within the caves about 3 minutes later, but it will run away from the player. As you can see, if I go in survival mode, it won't want to come near me. And then when it's shown for the 3rd time, if you click on it, as you can see, it will jump into the ground, give you a random item from a list of items. I think it can give you a diamond block, a iron block, copper block, a enchanted diamond pickaxe, an enchanted diamond sword. There is a few things it can give, and then it will disappear, and then basically you can repeat it all over again with another one that will spawn. And that is everything for this update of Trails and Tales Plus. This update, if you couldn't tell, is themed off of things that Minecraft haven't added, from mob votes to just random items that they announced and then they got scrapped or they were leaked. But anyway, if you enjoyed this video, do leave a like and subscribe. Let me know what you guys thought of this update in the comments, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.